to do that.
There we go, Jeff.
So it's still going though. Crap. I hit the space bar moving the thing and it started it.
I think you can stop it.
Well, if not, hi everybody.
All right, everyone. Good evening. It looks like it's 5 o'clock here in Pacific time, so may not be that time wherever you are. We're going to get started here shortly. I have Chris and Jeff here with me from Probiotic Air Solutions. They just got done telling me some amazing stories about how this product has worked for people with allergies, people with asthma. They're going to probably tell us some stories about how it works for seniors and keeping your seniors healthy in your care homes. So I'm going to pass it over to Jeff and Chris with Probiotic Air Solutions, and they can get started. Go ahead, guys.
All right, thanks, Molly. I appreciate that. This is Chris. I'll bring Jeff on in here a little bit, but I just want to kind of get started. I want to say thank you for one. I have a sister-in-law that works in assisted living, and she tells me the stories of what she goes through. What she has to worry about with her people and her care, her staff, and everybody else. And I think that you guys just don't kind of get the thank you that you deserve out there. You're doing a great service for a group of people that are really in need right now and need that extra help, and their families want to know that they're protected. So I just want to say thanks, be sincere about that, because it's a big deal. So thank you for doing that. But let me go on and get into what we're going to be doing in the next 30 minutes. So what we want to talk about is how can we reduce 99% of that bad bacteria. So the odors, the dust, the allergens that exist in our homes and in our facilities, we're going to do that with probiotics. And Jeff's going to talk about how this new, well, not new, this
10 years.
Well, going on 10 years, yeah. Natural probiotic can help with the environment. We've got some case studies we want to go over, some real results that we can see. And exciting for me is, one of them is directly in assisted living. So you can see the direct connection of how this impacts your area of expertise. And then of course, at the end, since you're investing your time with us and, your Molly gives you guys a purchasing power as a unit, we want to be able to make an offer that really shows the power to set yourself apart from the others in your industry. So I'll have another thing, a little QA in at the end, and talk about, let you ask questions, let you see what you've come up with that we need to answer for you. So, during this current time, I want to ask you the question, do you think people are more aware than ever of the bacteria that's on surfaces and air? Because we're getting a resounding yes on that. We're in a certain time where people are just really, this is highly, front of mind. So just want you to be aware that's kind of what we're covering a little bit of.
And if you have questions throughout the presentation in your GoToMeeting software, you can go over there and click in and ask that question. Molly is unmuted. She can interrupt us if necessary, if we're not answering that question. And we will have a little bit of time at the end as well if we haven't got it answered. We've got those coming into the GoToMeeting stuff, so we can see those as we're moving along. So ask away, and we'll hit those throughout the presentation.
Yeah, we'd love to answer them. So let me ask you the first question. What if we could show you how we can change what's happening in your air, your surfaces, your carpets, your ductwork, your beds, mattresses, your pillows, your furnace, and even what's going into your lungs, and how we can affect that by eliminating and almost eliminating all of the pet dander, the organic odors that might be in the system, pollen for allergies, harmful bacteria that comes into our buildings. You know, a lot of this is from foot traffic that comes in and out, and maybe mold spores that are in, you know, the ductwork, the attic, the crawl space that are starting to penetrate and get into the facility. And by doing that and eliminating those, we can give your staff and your residents, you know, better air to breathe, cleaner surfaces that they're working on, better air to sleep to, because some of us are allergic to, you know, dust mites and pollen, and that we don't know it, but that's what's causing some issues sleeping at night. That you change your filters less on your HVAC and your furnace, and then increase the actual efficiency of the HVAC and furnace. And Jeff will talk about that a little bit later. So if we could do all of that, well, let me back up. So we do all those great things, but this is what we get the most of. It eliminates organic odors. You know, Jeff and I get all excited about how all the science behind it and how it eliminates all the bad stuff going on. But it really comes down to, most people come back to us and say, the odors are just gone. It's clean, it smells fresh. We have a rabbit in our house, and I'm not a big fan because rabbits poop a lot and they smell. And every day we have to, you know, remind the 16-year-old to clean the rabbit cage. Well, we installed one of these units because my wife is super sensitive to smell. And I was really excited about, you know, the allergies and my sleeping and all that kind of stuff. And the day after we installed it, she was coming down the hall and I said, "Hey, you smell the rabbit?" She said, "No." She said, "Who cleaned it?" Because she didn't. I said, "Well, nobody. I told Logan not to clean it." And the smell was just gone. And she was just amazed. And where I wanted to see the benefits of everything else, she was just excited that the smell was gone. So that is our biggest thing that we get. And that's one thing we hope we can really drive home today so you can see. So, you know, what would be the value of eliminating all of these things for you in your homes? That's our real question, not just the odors. So stick with me to the end, and Jeff, and we'll see how we can help you change the health of your home for just $3.05 a day. We'll show you the math on that, how we came about that, and how it all works. But let me jump back just a little bit, and I'm going to introduce myself and Jeff now that we're into it just a little. On the right, that's me, the Burdettes. I have two older kids that are one in college, one in high school, and then we've got the two other ones that are in first grade. So we're just a busy group. And Jeff here on the left, I'll let him introduce himself and say hi.
Hey everybody, Jeff Robinson here. That's my family there on the left, my wife, and then we've got 18-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 12, and an 8-year-old. So we do stay busy with all this stay-at-home stuff. We're kind of getting used to this e-learning and all that exciting stuff. But I'm just excited to be here tonight, talk about how we got to where we're at. I've been in business for myself for quite a few years, been through a couple of different type of businesses, and found myself in the HVAC industry quite a few years back, and started to investigate and started learning a lot about indoor air quality. And this really hits home with me because my wife does suffer from a autoimmune disease. So she takes immunosuppressants. So with 4 kids in 4 different schools, and me going inside different homes in the HVAC business, bringing all this stuff back, I wanted to help create the healthiest environment I could for my wife, Joanna. So I went through and researched all these things: UV lights, ozonators, ionizers, all the different things that you could do. I've tried all of them in the home. And here last year came across the solution that we're going to be talking about tonight with probiotics. And one of the things that excites me the most is that this solution it's all natural, and that's what I was hoping to figure something out, rather than putting another chemical in the home, or a light that can burn up the plastic, or ozone that you've got to be really careful about the right amount that you put into the house. But anyway, that's just how we got to where we're at. This passion that's really fired up in me to help as many people as I can out there have a healthy inside living environment, because we spend so much time inside, especially now, but on a regular basis, even without all this stay-at-home stuff. Inside air can be up to 10 times more polluted than outside air. And we've got a great solution to help balance that indoor biome.
Yeah. And Jeff and I, just as a little side note, we've known each other since grade school, and we both had businesses, and so we antagonize each other well. So if he gets rambling, I'll tell him to move on. If I get stumbling, he'll tell me to move on. So well, let's move on.
There you go.
So imagine the possibility one day everybody in your building noticed that the air was fresh, odorless, residents were sleeping better, staff were sick less often. What effect would that have on everyone? The focus, the ability to get through their days. And visitors that came by, they commented on how the air was fresh as it is outside. These are things that you can use to kind of set yourself apart, and things that we hear from our customers and people that use probiotic air. So the question is, to achieve that, what would it take? If I'm not using probiotic air in my home, what's it going to take to achieve all those things? You're going to have some continual surface cleaning, possibly with chemicals. We hear that a lot. You've got daily dusting and vacuuming that you're going to need to do to get rid of all of the surface, changing of mattresses and pillows and furniture, because we know you can't hardly clean inside a mattress and a pillow, and that's where a lot of dust might get, and you get different fungus and
10 different types.
Yeah, 10 different types on a pillow within a year. It can be some pretty gross stuff. That has not been a thing I've enjoyed, learning all the gross stuff that's in my house going through this. Cleaning carpets with like a deep cleaning carpet, steam cleaning them to get those germs and dust and dead skin out of the carpets. And then some of the things Jeff's going to talk about here with UV lights and the high end and how they work, your HEPA filters, and then possibly even the costly and invasive process of having your ducts cleaned twice a year, so that we clean out everything inside. But those are all things that we can work on and help with. And then what they're going to do in the end is they're going to save you time and money. So Jeff is going to talk a little bit here about whole house systems and what he's come across in his industry.
Yeah, so in my research and testing, trying a lot of different things, all the way from an electrostatic air cleaner, which would be that minimum cost of about $76, all the way up to UV lights with HEPA, with an ERV and outside air exchanger, all those different things to clean up the indoor air with a maximum cost of $13,000. You find nationally that the average whole house air system to keep the air clean, and this just affects the air that's moving through the HVAC system. That's coming through the air handler, then that's coming out the duct. So it's only taking care of that air that's moving. It's not touching the surfaces. It's not cleaning inside the ductwork. It's not doing any of that. So the average cost of a good system throughout the country is $2,507. And the good news here is, when we get to the end of this, you'll see that we're nowhere near that $13,000 option, and we have the ability to take care of the air inside your ductwork, inside your HVAC system, your blower wheel, the return duct, where these things will even help less particles get in your filter. And then the big thing, as Chris talked about, they penetrate into your carpet, onto surfaces, keyboards, phones, doorknobs, utensils, everywhere that you can see, and a lot of places that you can't see, for a lot less than that $13,000 option. So what are probiotics? We've talked a lot about different things out there and different options that you can do, and all the things that you might need to do to keep your home as clean as possible. So our solution to this is good bacteria. So I'm sure all of you are familiar with eating yogurt. It has a live bacteria in there, cultures that help balance out your gut and help you be healthier on the inside, because the most powerful thing that we can have to fight off illness is a healthy immune system. So when you put probiotics inside you, it is going in there and it's balancing out the microbiome inside your gut. That way your immune system isn't needing to reduce that over latent bad bacteria as your body's digesting. Well, those same probiotics we can use in the air. Matter of fact, if any of you are familiar with Beachbody and Tony Horton, he's got a new product out. I think it's called it's a shake. It's called the Basic 4, I believe, something like that. He's using the exact same probiotic. It's the Bacillus subtilis that we're using. And it's 100% organic. There's no chemical in it. So the same bacteria that's balancing out inside, we're using to balance the outside. It's a very, it's a strong bacteria. It's hard to kill it, for one, but it goes out and it overpowers the weaker. It's a much stronger bacteria. So whenever you see whenever this is in the presence of bad bacteria, it's able to go out and eat up all the food that the bad bacteria needs. Therefore, the bad bacteria dies away. Same thing happening inside. We're doing that on the surfaces and inside the air as well. So it's 100% natural. It's something that you can ingest. We've passed all 7 levels of the EPA approval. So we are fully EPA approved for internal digestion, all of that type of stuff. No residue left on the lungs, none of that.
Yeah, we have a guy that actually sniffs it, right?
He does. He believes really strong. I mean, you can actually drink it if you want. Again, don't recommend that because it's not going to do you any good in quite that volume. But he gets really stuffed up with allergies. It's a gentleman down in Florida, James is his name. And whenever he's away from his system and he comes home to get everything balanced back up, he actually gets the stuff right in his face and inhales it. Not going to hurt you. I can't say that that's necessarily helping, but it's that natural and doesn't hurt you. So back onto this, the Bacillus ferment, it's all natural and it protects and is very powerful against the bacteria that causes staph infection. So we've done some studies. I'm going to talk about those in just a minute. Whenever staph is in the presence of Bacillus, the Bacillus eats up all the nutrients that both of the bacteria need to survive, and then the staph virtually disappears to non-detectable levels. And this happens very, very quickly. And once that biome gets balanced, when a new bad bacteria lands on a surface, say staph or something of that nature, it never can take off because there's no food and no nutrients for it to continue going. So it balances out and cleans up the environment. We can do the same thing with E. coli. So both E. coli and staph are very bad things for us, obviously. E. coli can really cause some bad things in food and cause illnesses in humans. But the same thing, whenever there's Bacillus present, E. coli lands, it can't reproduce and cause problems because there's no nutrients or food for it to survive. So this Bacillus is a very strong, very powerful, it's very active, and it lasts a while. This isn't something that goes up and down in the level of protection. Once you get good coverage inside a home or a business, it stays that way, and the bad bacteria can't thrive. And how it's doing this is it eats up all of the stuff that the bad bacteria need to survive. So you get this side benefit. So the original purpose of this was to help disinfect and make surfaces cleaner. Well, there was a side benefit that was seen is as this Bacillus goes inside carpet, inside your pillows, down inside keyboards, it's actually eating the dust mite feces. It's taking and eliminating it. And if anyone's allergic to dust mites, I'm a 4+ to dust mites, and I have struggled with it basically my whole life. And it's amazing what happens inside a home whenever you start reducing that amount of dust mite inside your pillow, inside your bedding, inside your carpet. And this was just a side benefit that was found while the study of Bacillus was going to try to purify surfaces. It gets rid of other allergens. Pet dander, we've got a study I'm going to show you that it will take dog and cat dander down to a relative undetectable level. So this Bacillus is very powerful. And the way it's cleaning everything up is it's balancing like what's outside, because this is a naturally occurring bacteria that is outside. It happens in soil, and that's one of the ways nature keeps everything in balance. So we're just taking that natural thing, bringing it inside, and it helps eliminate all this bad stuff inside. Not only does it stop us from getting sick, it stops your body from needing to fight off allergens. And what this does is it gives your body the ability to fight off all this negative stuff. Another side benefit is these biological odors that Chris was talking about, and that includes mold spores. So you can have mold inside a home, up inside an attic in a corner where you've got this really slow little small leak in the roof that it's not even coming into the home, but it's up there and it's creating mold. Those mold spores are then floating throughout the attic. If you have ductwork up there, your HVAC system turns on and that negative pressure will suck that inside the home. Same thing if you're down in a basement or a crawl space. If you have ductwork down there, those mold spores again can penetrate the home. They might not be in really high levels, but a body that's already susceptible to other things, these mold spores can cause all kinds of problems, and they're silent. You can't hardly see them, and the spores you can't necessarily even smell. It's that wet stuff on the mold that you smell. But the great news is any biological odor, even if you decide to cook fish, bacon, a meal that has a lot of smell to it, that is a volatile organic compound. This bacillus is going out and breaking all that down. It's amazing how quickly you don't smell that meal after you cook. You might burn something on the stove. When you've got a probiotic system in your home, it's going and eliminating all of those odors. And once you've gotten rid of all these things inside of a home, it creates a healthy environment and allows your body, your immune system to really recharge. And the best defense against some of this unknown stuff out there is a healthy immune system. You've got, your body is strong, and it's not fighting off these allergens. It's not fighting off an infection. It's not fighting off, a stomach bug from eating something weird. Your internal components are all operating at peak performance. Now, Chris is going to take over here. He found a study on some toys on how this disinfectant process works and how these probiotics can help you when you're doing your normal disinfecting inside of your home, how the probiotics can help protect in between those heavy cleanings. Once you take over, Chris.
I think this is really cool. You'll see here OSHA put this out. It relates, the traditional purifier sprayers devices indiscriminately kill bad bacteria and good bacteria, causing a sterile environment. And in that environment, bad bacteria can foster, grow, and become, a super germ that we don't want. The analogy here is if you were a gardener and you had a garden and it had great food in it and plants and flowers, if a weed shows up, you don't go in and kill the whole garden off. You go in and you remove the bad stuff. So that's what we're doing here. Now, the test they did, they went into a daycare, they pulled 2 toys out, and they did a test. One they swiped, and it came back with 1,109 bacteria, so quite a bit. The second one came up with 1,358 bacteria. So then they took these toys and they scrubbed the first one down with a Sani wipe. When they did that, it reduced it down to 69 bad bacteria. So that's great. We're reducing it. We're making a better environment, but it also killed everything. The probiotic air, they misted it. So the nice news is there was no manual labor there, right? You're just interjecting the presence of a good probiotic into the air, and it jumped all the way down to 21 because it just creates that shield and starts eating and removing that bad bacteria. But where the big news comes in is they waited 20 minutes. They went back and tested that first toy. And since it was barren, it went back up in 20 minutes to 206 bad bacteria already growing on it. And then, of course, the big moment, you go back onto that probiotic air toy, you test it, and it's gone down to 9 in 20 minutes because the good bacteria has already made a shield. It's made an environment where bad bacteria can't interject and grow. And it's just an amazing testimony to what probiotics do. So, the question of, what could this do? How would it be if it could achieve these results in areas that you can't see because it's living and growing? It can get in places you can't clean, and just how awesome that would be. I mean, that would be great to know that your pillows and your mattresses are getting cleaned without any extra work. So part of what brought me to this is we do that scrubbing like they did on the toy, right? They get the environment clean, and then what do? Your air kicks on. Your ductwork comes alive, and all that stuff that's in the ductwork starts coming out. We don't want it to be dirty like this, and this one actually is probably not that bad. but that is
True.
ductwork. It's holding, dust and spores and mold and bad bacteria in it. You've cleaned, you turn it on, and here it all comes out of your vent. We want it to be perfectly clean, and that's how we kind of picture our vents. But that's really, not how things work. But our probiotics is one of the only systems that goes out there and cleans inside that ductwork. It starts breaking down the materials. It starts breaking down what's up in there and eliminating the bad bacteria. Now it takes some time. To ductwork to start getting cleaned, it's going to be 5 to 6 months, and it's never going to be spotless clean like the image on the right, but it is going to have no presence of the bad bacteria and maybe the mold that's gone up there because there's been some condensation in the ductwork, and that's come out into the
This was one of the frustrations I had when I was trying to improve the air quality inside my house. So I would put that UV light on the system, and a big part of our house is done in what's called a flex duct, and you can't send a good hard bristle brush down flex duct or it tears it up. So we couldn't clean a lot of this stuff out of our ductwork. And with a UV light, that has a kill range depending on the microwatt of it. 180 microwatt UV bulb will kill about 3 feet on either side of that bulb. So you stick that in the ductwork, you've got a real clean area of 3 feet either side of that bulb, but then the air goes and travels through the rest of that dirty ductwork. And I knew that the air coming out of my ductwork was not as clean as what it could be. And that's what continued this search to find something that would help. And as Chris mentioned, you're not going to hook one of these things up and then 2 days later look inside your ductwork and it's perfectly clean. It's not. We will reduce the number of particles inside your ductwork, but we're not going to eat up an actual dust particle. That would take a long time to do. But the one thing you can do, hook one of our systems up, let it run for that 6, 7, 8 months. Have a duct cleaning company come through and clean that out, and then you will have that look on the right side, and you won't ever have to worry about it again.
Yeah, because it would be, how great it would be to know that the air coming out of your ductwork is clean and healthy and actually is what's promoting the rest of the healthy environment in the house instead of feeding bad bacteria into the house. So that's kind of the point of this, that probiotic getting in there, using the ductwork, turning it into a good system that gets out and helps penetrate all the fabric and hard to reach places that you just can't get clean. And one of the images I want to show you now is this is the actual unit hooked up to a ductwork. Jeff is going to talk a little bit more about how that happens and get into some case studies here.
All right. Yeah, so we'll talk about the installation a little bit, but it is very simple. Does not take long at all. But first, I want to jump into some real results, and we're using actual pictures right out of it rather than just putting data that's easy to see. So I do apologize for there's a lot of stuff on the screen coming up here, so I'll do the best I can to get through it. So this is a University of Wisconsin Oshkosh. This was an environmental sampling study. This was done at a Care Partners assisted living facility up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So what you're looking at there, you can see the dates along the bottom, December 1st, 15th, 30th, and January 19th. They took samples from 4 different rooms looking for good bacteria. So they're looking for the presence of the good bacteria. And you can see that there is some, because it is a naturally occurring bacteria. The probiotic is in the air right now. It's just at very low amounts inside of a building because you don't have anything generating it. Then an activation of a new system, and then you can see to the right, starting on March 3rd, the presence of good bacteria is there in a big way. Now it does fluctuate because as they go and clean those surfaces, they are using a sanitary, Lysol or Clorox or something of that nature, and it is killing everything. But as the system turns on, as Chris just mentioned, when the air turns on, then you're getting more good bacteria back on that surface. Now that ran for 30 days, so March 3rd to April 3rd. Then they did it a full month later, and you can still see the presence of good bacteria is there. So as I mentioned, this isn't as soon as the system turns off, this stuff continues to work on an ongoing basis. Then this next one, in case study A here, the same home. Now we're testing for the negative bacteria. They're testing for fecal content, staph, the E. coli, a lot of this negative stuff that they were looking for. So all the rooms on those same test dates, as they tested for the good bacteria, they tested for bad. And you can see it fluctuates again because you are going in and you're cleaning up those surfaces. They were even testing on the supply vents inside the rooms, getting bacteria off of that. Then the activation of the system, as you can see, virtually eliminates the bad bacteria out of the environment. And this is an actual study that was done at a Care Partners assisted living facility in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So you can see, and again, those results, the system ran for 30 days, and still on May 3rd, there was still enough presence. And in this particular study, they did it on one wing, and they found that there was another wing. There was no door separating the two wings, that they saw a similar improvement in the negative bacteria on the other side of the facility, because when one system would turn on, it would still pull that bacteria, the good bacteria, over to the other wing, and they saw a reduction in the bad bacteria on the other wing as well. So once this stuff gets into the air, it is a living organism, so it is moving around. It doesn't have to have constant airflow to move it. That does help, of course, but with this particular study, it showed it helped in the entire facility. So what it do? It demonstrates the ability to reduce the pathogenic contaminants, and as you well know, a highly challenging nursing care facility. It decreases of contamination. They result in a decrease in illness. And what we're all looking for is an increase in the quality of life and well-being. In addition, the staff and occupants reported a significant decrease of the bad odors. As Chris mentioned, every single installation that we do, almost the first thing that they say is a reduction in bad odors. And that's all because of the probiotics. All right, this next one is an indoor biotechnology laboratory. This was in the UK. And by the way, these probiotics are used worldwide. This is the company that we work with is international. They are all over the world. So our upper left, figure 1, this is looking for the presence of the good bacteria, the probiotics. So day 0, it was virtually non-existent. And then day 8, after they were applied on day 1, there's a high concentration of the good bacteria. On the right side, day 0, this was testing its effect on dust mite feces. So you see a high concentration of dust mite feces on day 0. After that same 8 days with probiotic being on the surface, the level of dust mite feces is dropped down by 80%. It's reduced. So it's not quite to non-detectable, but that's only in 8 days. So this would continue to improve over time. Lower left, figure 3, again, they do the 0 and the 8-day test. Good bacteria is the presence is there on day 8. And then on figure 4, this is a dog allergen, pet dander. Now, if you bring service dogs into the home, or maybe there's an animal in the home, so that allergen can get in there, and if it's not completely removed, it's going to be there for a very, very long time, even if an animal is coming in and out of a home on longer intervals. So here, they had the presence of dog dander on day 8. On day 0, day 8 with the presence of the probiotic, you can see that reduced by almost 90% in just 8 days. So this is, again, real empirical data in an actual environment that's testing for a very particular result, and it's working flawlessly. So here, better can grow and prosper by using allergens as a nutrient source, dramatically decrease the concentration of allergies and reduce the side effects of indoor allergies. So like I mentioned, this was initially looking to sanitize a surface, and we found out that by how it's sanitizing is it's eating up all these allergens, and that's one of its main nutrient sources to keep it going. Next, this is a University of Oregon study. This one's a little hard to see, but I think we can get through it. So the blue line, that light blue line that you see starting on the left, and then it goes and it spikes up there on day 15. This was done in Petri dishes. This study was done by Dr. Green at the University of Oregon. She is an expert and has done immense study on the indoor air environment and buildings, trying to eliminate sick building syndrome, whether that's with bringing fresh air in, filters. She's done a study with our probiotics, and here's what we found out. So Petri dish. Basically, the study was they put a whole bunch of Petri dishes on a floor, suspended one of our systems, and they started out with E. coli and staph are the two that were in this particular this graph that we're looking at. So you can see the blue line, day 15, those both took off. Then with the dishes that had our envirobiotics or our probiotics in the dishes, you can see that the level stayed basically the same. It did not take off and it did not start growing. So a proven result to control the growth of E. coli and staph. This next one is for mold. Now that's the official name for mold, that Cladosporium. But this is a detection of mold in a Petri dish. So again, the blue line is the mold without the probiotics. You can see that day 6, it starts taking off. In the presence of the probiotics, it starts to try to start growing. But again, the probiotics being as strong as they are, and they're actually consuming those spores up, it stops the growth and then takes over and gets it down almost non-detectable in a 21-day period there. So this is just showing the strength and the effectiveness. And just think if this was over a year's time, a month's time, 2 months' time, on how clean that environment gets with the presence of the probiotics. All these studies here are between 8, 30, a month. There's just not a lot of time. But in a consistent, and that's the way our system operates. It will time, we program it for the size of the facility and then there's a regular timed interval that it releases or disperses the probiotic into the system. And this was, once I read that Oregon study, when I was doing research, that's the one that really got me fired up to say, you know what, I think I want to get out of HVAC and focus only on indoor air quality. And I want my focus to be with this probiotic, because literally this can change someone's life. The way it's changed in my home with this system being active inside, the confidence knowing that the stuff is not on the surfaces, that my son is not taking a prescription allergy medicine anymore. We had a neighbor down the street, the Millers, of Chris's. Chris, why don't you tell them?
Sure. So this will kind of get into the whole testimonial section that we have from people. But I have a neighbor down the street, the Millers, that husband loves cats. Mom really doesn't because she's allergic to them. She has a right to. And the kids want pets. But yeah, they're not going to have a pet. So the sister or the brother says, here's my cat. Take it. I need to move this cat on. So he brings the cat home, and Mrs. Miller, of course, starts having allergies, sneezing, coughing. She's got a rash on her face. It was horrible. We went over to play cards, and I was like, what is going on? They told me the story. I said, let's put this unit in and see, what it does for you. So I brought it over. We put it in. Just the next day, she called me. She says, I'm feeling better. Day 2, she calls me, says, I stopped taking my medicine. I don't need my allergy stuff. My rash is gone. I can sleep at night. This is just amazing. I mean, if I hold the cat and snuggle with it, yeah, I started to have issues, but we can now exist in the same house and we don't have an issue. And of course, they are just ecstatic. It's amazing what technology and something that's just in the natural environment can do for you. So let's go to some other testimonials that we have. This one is Mark Rowe. He has a fitness club, and imagine, he says, it's eliminating the odor of 40 to 60 people training and sweating in an enclosed area. I mean, can you imagine not smelling that body odor in there, what that does for his business and how great that is? What difference it makes just for him and sets his business apart from other gyms. When you like that, in your industry. Here's Leah. She, had a son that was allergic to a dog. She heard about it, put it in her house and having less issues for her son. But then she came back to the same thing also. It always smells so fresh and clean. My child's allergies have improved. So she's seeing that also. Jennifer, she's a 4th grade teacher down in Dallas, Texas. She had carpet in her room, and she said, all my fellow teachers commented on how clean and fresh my classroom now smells, because she was getting kind of a musty smell odor, and kids were complaining of headaches and feeling stuffy and scratchy. In this last year, none of those students have complained about the room making them feel bad. and they're able to focus, and that's what you want, right? I mean, you want your staff to be able to focus on the residents to help them out and not have to worry about those other things going on. So pretty powerful testimonials. This is another vision of the unit here. Now we've shown kind of what probiotics, the air can do. I'm going to turn it back over to Jeff here to talk a little bit about, some other things we can offer.
So yeah, installation is one thing I want to talk about here. It's a very simple system. So there's a little connection out the top of this unit. It has a hose that plugs into the supply air duct of your HVAC system, and then there's a 110 volt plug that plugs right into a wall. Then there's a setting on a computer. It's very simple. Depending on the square footage that we're going to be covering, there's settings to set the unit to on when it will disperse at that point. So very simple installation. That can get a little more tricky if it's up in an attic or if it's down in a crawl space. But we have no problem finding very qualified individuals to install these in any state across the country. So it's not an issue. And if you have a maintenance person that you use, handyman or something like that, if you can connect them with us, and we can help them get the system installed. And of course, we're going to pay them to get that installed as well. So installation is very, very, very easy. So what would the value to you, or what would be the value to you if you could change what's happening again in your air, on the surfaces, in your carpets, that ductwork, in the beds and pillows, and even in the furnace, and ultimately what's happening inside our body, in our lungs, that the air that's coming in, our body doesn't have to fight off all of these allergens or this bad bacteria and stuff to just what's that value to be able to breathe by almost eliminating the pet dander, these volatile organic compounds or these odors, pollen, the harmful bacteria, and even mold spores, and giving your residents that clean air to breathe, cleaner surfaces, better air so you can sleep better. You're changing your filters less often, and you're increasing your HVAC efficiency. And how this is done is because about 85% of HVAC breakdowns are due to dirt collection on your blower wheel or inside your filter, and it causes the system to work too hard, and that causes breakdowns. Where when you have one of our systems installed, you don't have that heavy buildup. You're changing your filters less often. Your blower wheel, we're going to actually reduce the number of particles on that blower wheel so it can move the air like it's supposed to. Your coil for your air conditioner isn't getting all plugged up with biological growth, because the probiotics are moving through there and eliminating that off of your evaporator coil inside your system. So it is truly making your HVAC system more efficient. You will absolutely see a reduction in energy usage when you install. So I guess the question would be, what's all that worth? So our regular price, whenever and we've sold systems across the country at these retail prices, a single system, $4,950. If you have two systems on your home, we are able to reduce that amount a little bit, and those are installed for $9,900. But as Chris mentioned, one of the reasons you're an RALNA member is because of the purchasing power that you get. And Molly was really insistent that if you're gonna talk to her crowd, that we have to give you guys a value that we can't give anybody else, and that's what we're doing. So we're able to offer. And this is going to be for 24 hours. If you call us in 26, you probably pull our leg a little bit there, and we'll probably honor it. But for a single system, we're able to get this installed for $2,950. Now, I want to put a small little caveat on that. If the installation is one of the difficult ones, if we do have to run electrical to the unit, or there's something strange like that, it's in a weird attic in a space, we'll talk about that. But this single system, $2,950, should go for a relatively standard installation. And we're going to find someone in your area, whether it's your handyman or somebody we locate to come into the home. We'll vet them out and make sure they're qualified to install the system. Or on two systems, we can reduce that per system price for a total of $54.50. Now, this two system can work a couple of different ways. So if you have two systems on your assisted living facility, we can install them both there. Or if you have an assisted living facility and you live in the same town as your assisted living, we can put one on your house and we can put one on your assisted living facility, and we'll cover the installation on that as well. Again, that caveat being as long as it's one of the simpler where we're not doing something crazy to get the system installed, which that's really rare. So what's this is a savings of $2,000 off of our normal retail price for a single system, and then $4,450 off of our 2-system price. And we're so confident, we've done enough testing. We've got them in our own homes. We've got people around us, our friends and family that are using them. 60 days, if you don't believe this system's working anytime in that area, you give us a call and say, you know what, we're not happy with it. If we can't get you happy, we're going to refund 100% of your money back.
Can you let them know what the size limitations are on it? Is there a limitation as far as square footage of the house?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that'd be good to know, wouldn't it? So a single system can cover, technically we can go up to about 12,000 square feet with a single system, but we rarely ever see a single facility have one system on much over about 4,000 square feet. So it just depends on the system. So a single system, I would say it would be comfortable as long as you have one unit controlling the whole house. We can cover up to 5,000 square feet very easily. We can, as I said, we can go up a lot more than that, but typically when you see a home that's 4,000 or more, typically you're going to have 2 systems on that home if it's a residence. In the commercial world, we see a lot larger square footages for one system, but a single system easily cover let's call it a 1,800 to a 5,000 square foot home that has one HVAC system on it or one air handler on it. The 2 system, again, you just double that up. So if it's if you have a 6,000 square foot home that has 2 systems, you're going to need 2 units. What changes, and on the next slide here, we'll look at that, is the amount of probiotics that you'll go through. So the more square footage that we're covering per individual unit, the more probiotics and the more often you need to change the bottle.
We also have another listener that she owns an apartment building, and she says most of them have window air conditioner units, or there's no ducting available.
Sure.
You guys have a solution for that, right? As far as individual room units?
Absolutely. So we didn't want to confuse, the issue there by showing that we do have a single room system. So that works perfectly in apartment buildings or in larger assisted living facilities that have, a big common area, and then you have a whole bunch of individual rooms that have their own HVAC system, like what she's doing. We do have a single room system, and if you notice down the right, we say call or text Chris at 217-493-8493, and we can go over that. So we do have a single room system that retails right at $299.
And that's $299. So that's really inexpensive. That's what I wanted to answer that real quick. They also were asking if, I'm sure you probably don't have any studies on this just yet, but does this address the coronavirus at all?
So we're staying away from that because we have not, that we are the company that we're partnered with is actively trying to test through that. So my comment on that one is we have no empirical data to show how well we can protect against the coronavirus. But we have done testing on corona-like, and we have shown to reduce in a 6-hour period when you put our probiotic on a surface for 15 minutes, and you have a presence of probiotic for 15 minutes. After a 6-hour hold time of no additional probiotics being put on, we reduce corona-like by 10,000-fold in a 6-hour period. But again, we have not done testing on the virus that's out there right now. It's just too new.
New mutation.
It's brand new. So now but even more than that, what we're really wanting to provide is an environment where the body is healthy. It's not fighting off allergies. It's not fighting off that small little infection that it has that's maybe not turned into a full-blown infection. It's got some staph in there that's not fully taken off, but your body's fighting it. Or you've got some E. coli from food or something like that that's living in there. Again, hasn't caused a full breakout and you're not, really ill from it, but your body is fighting it off. We allow the presence of all this healthy stuff so the immune system can be strong. And the CDC says the best defense against corona, wash your hands, which I'm sure you guys are doing and having all your residents do, but have a healthy immune system. And that's what we're providing. We provide a tool that keeps your environment and your surfaces clean. So if you do come in contact with something that is bad, your body is much more ready to take care of that situation to defend against it.
All right, you guys want to keep doing questions? How much more do you guys have left?
We're basically there. Our next slide was to do Q&A.
We just got a couple.
Okay, perfect. The next question I have is, how could this work if you have an existing UV system?
Yeah, so the UV light, I unplugged mine because the UV light is killing everything that passes by it. So it's not saying, okay, that's a good bacteria. Oh, that's a bad one. I'm going to take that one out. So everything that's passing by it is getting killed or sterilized. So I unplugged mine in my house. I would like to do some testing. We haven't done it yet because we're continually dispersing, although it's killing everything that goes by. And I can't say that it's going to make it better or worse at this time. But in my house, because I want my ductwork, every part of it, I want that bacteria to stay alive as long as possible. I unplugged my, I've got an ozone treatment and also a high-powered 180 microwatt UV light. They're unplugged.
You could put it on after the UV light and have it disperse.
Well, I
don't know what it would do.
You wouldn't. The UV light you wouldn't want in the presence of. So I unplugged mine. Is the answer. So yeah, you could run it. We would want to make sure it's installed where it's going into the ductwork, not in the presence of that UV light. So we'd have to make sure that UV light is not hitting as our bacteria or the probiotics entering the duct system. You'd want that totally separate. But personally, I don't see the advantage of having that. The only advantage I could see for having a UV light in the system is if it's in the A coil or the evaporator coil, and it's in there to take care of algae growth on the coil. We are going to help with that too, but a UV light on there all the time is going to absolutely eliminate all biological growth on that coil. That'd be the only use I could see of a UV light in the system.
Perfect. Well, we'll let you guys move on to your next couple of slides, or your last slide, and then we have one listener that has a recommendation for Chris and his bunny smell.
Okay, hold on. So there is an ongoing cost that you have with our system. Again, it's a living probiotic, so it does need to be refilled. Our system on the lowest setting, you'll need to refill a bottle per unit every 6 months. On the highest setting, it would be about every 2 months. So between 2 and 4 months, you need to change the bottle depending on the square footage that we're covering. So that, that 2 to 2,500 square foot home, you're going to be changing every, 6 months. On that 5,000 square foot, 6,000 square foot home, you're going to be changing it every, maybe 3 months, something like that. And the regular price, $199, and you guys get our refills at $175. So is all this worth, the good air, better sleep, changing your filters less often, increasing the efficiency, peace of mind, and helping when you're doing all this hard work to disinfect all these areas, that we can extend that protection period in between. So would all that be worth just $3.05 a day on a single system? Or on the two unit system, $5.86 a day. And this I've calculated over a 5-year period, your upfront cost, and then changing the bottles in one or both systems twice a month. That's where I came with that. And if you'd like to see that math, again, call or text Chris, and we'll get that information to you. I didn't want to bore everybody with a spreadsheet, but that math is solid, and we've got that on a 10-year time frame as well. Obviously, the cost goes down per day the longer you keep the system on the home. So you are able to spread out that upfront cost over a longer period. So again, our regular price that we, again, have been selling for quite some time now. 2 systems, $9,900, single system, $4,950. You guys are able to get that at $2,950 and $5,450. We do have a page up if you'd like to go visit that at probioticairsolutions.com/RALNA. You can click through there, real simple. We're asking to get started that you would put a down payment on the system of $1,475. And that will get the system ordered. And once we see that order come through, we'll get on the phone and we'll get an installation scheduled. And then once the install's done, and then we'll collect the rest of that. And
I have another.
Oh, go ahead, Molly.
I have another listener that's asking, can you ever have too much probiotic in the air?
Well, I mean, you're not going to put enough where you would know, but you're going to be wasting it at that point. You know, we actually, in some facilities that don't have moving air, we have a fogger, so we can go into a space and we can fog the area with probiotics, and we put a load of probiotics in a fogging scenario. But in a situation like that there's a lot of contaminants, that probiotic is eating a lot of that, and if there's a lot of contaminants, it's going to live for quite some time as long as it has the nutrients. And anytime people come in, you've got more dander coming off, you've got, you know, dust mites, all of that stuff. So can you have too much? I mean, it's going to be a waste. You're not going to ever hurt yourself with it other than financially.
Perfect. Well, if you guys are wrapping up, Chris Turner, she's a lovely person that is always reaching out to me with positive thoughts, has a recommendation for your bunny. She says if you can neuter your bunny, it would reduce that smell of the urine that you're having in your house too. So if you still deal with it a little bit, Chris, then there you go.
All right.
Well, I appreciate that, because yeah, teenagers aren't real reliable on cleaning things. Yeah, that's great.
So a couple of questions, normal questions that we get, we want to address a couple of those. Are probiotics harmful to anything? And no, they're not. This has been yeah, we've talked through that. EPA approved. It's naturally occurring. There's no allergy to the probiotics. They're not harmful to plants, animals, nothing like that, or any type of fabric or surfaces or, you know, special woods, nothing at all. They're perfectly safe. Next, do I need an electrician to install? I touched on that a little bit. There are some circumstances where if there's not a good 110 volt outlet near your system, then yeah, we do need to bring an electrician in to that scenario. So that could cost a little bit more of an installation cost in that scenario, just depending on the rules in your area. If we have to get a certified electrician in, so that kind of can change the game a little bit. Next. How long does it take to notice a change? This depends on what change you're looking for, but the smell is almost instantaneous. It's within a day's time you're noticing a fresher smell. Now it's those lingering smells, obviously something that happens right now. It's going to take a little bit of time to get that under control, but it's these lingering smells, that mold smell, that musty smell, that that constant dirty smell. That is a 1, 2, 3 days, you start noticing a change. Now, cleaning out your ductwork, again, we don't take that to a sparkling new look, but it does reduce the number of particles inside that ductwork. That takes quite a bit of time, 3, 6, 9 months worth of time to start seeing that. So it depends on the change on how long it takes to notice. And with that, I think we are wrapped up. There's Chris and his information, his cell number, his email address, our website, and the offer page for you guys to go and get started.
All right, we have a couple more questions too. One of our questions is, how many states do you cover in the United States? Southeast Florida is where Dave has four homes actually.
Sure, so we can go anywhere. So it's basically the way we work is we don't have staff in every state, but me being in the HVAC industry, now in the commercial side, we've worked with businesses across the country. So it's very simple for us to vet out somebody in your area to handle the installation. And the cost that we have, that $2,950 for a single system, as long as we're not needing to run wires or it's some crazy weird installation, we've got money in that to pay that installer. So we can install anywhere.
It's part of what we like about the system. It is so
Yep.
simplistic to get started.
Absolutely. And if you're with, several hundred miles of Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, you'll get the pleasure of meeting either Chris or I. We'll come and install it for you.
Perfect. And one last question. Are there any selection of smells available?
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking about that to infuse, a lavender or these essential oils and things like that. So we're seeing the effect on a living bacteria by mixing those two things together. Because that would be in such a high concentration, and we'd be emitting those very close to each other, we are finding that is lessening the impact on the probiotic, because it has to battle through that smell and that chemical, if you will. Even some of the oils that are natural, that's still they have a disinfecting nature to themselves, some of them, which again is indiscriminate on what it hurts, and that stuff can have an effect on bacillus in that strong concentration. So if you have a diffuser on your shelf and you like that at night, it's not going to necessarily affect us by dispersing throughout a whole home. Our challenge is dispersing them together in really high concentration.
Perfect. It doesn't look like I have any other questions just yet. Oh, wait, here we go. One more. Are you looking for salespeople? This is great for doggy daycares.
Yes.
Oh, that's a whole nother area we're looking at. The daycares, vets, chiropractors, schools, daycares. I mean, you just go on and on and on. Personally, I think it should be in every building across the country, but I'm a little biased. But yes, we are absolutely looking for partners anywhere and everywhere to help spread the word. We can work very closely with them with training and making sure they have all the tools necessary to be successful.
Oh, and with your facilities. I mean, one of the great things about this is you put this in a home, people start coming by, even, visitors, family members come by and they notice the difference. They will notice and they'll ask. And if you're, home and you want to offer this as a solution, say, here's what we did, let me refer you, refer them to us. We'll make it worth your time. We'll do referrals.
Yeah, you won't ever pay for any refill bottles. You start sending some referrals, you'll get all your refills at no cost. Absolutely.
Yep.
It looks like Bonnie's in Joliet, so she's close to you guys.
Yeah, we will drive right up and we will install for her.
I will put a comment then. This picture that you're seeing is pre-stay at home. So I've been home for a while. That is not how I look now, for sure.
His beard is about 6 inches longer.
Oh my gosh. We got another question that came in. Chris says, how do you install it? And it attaches in the main HVAC unit, correct?
Right. So
back to that slide.
Yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, you want to roll that back. So we install right next to the furnace or air handler, and you just tap a very small hole, about a 1-inch hole in the side of the supply air plenum that's coming right out the top of the unit, and that you can see that blue line on the screen right there that plugs into the supply plenum. That goes and plugs into our system, and then there's a 110 volt cord that plugs into the wall. So it can sit on the ground, it can hang on the wall. Very, very simple. And then there's a little computer that you set to see how much probiotic and on what time frame that it's dispersed.
Yep.
And the bottle just goes inside this unit right here?
Yeah. You can see our logo across the front of it. You see that little white piece across. So you open that up like a door. And then right in the middle of that, there's a bottle that screws right to the, you unscrew the empty one and then you screw up a new one.
Perfect.
Yep. And it's so easy, even Chris can do it.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. You can tell you guys have known each other since grade school. Well,
right.
That's all the questions we have. Unless anybody wants to throw one in here in the next few seconds, then we can wrap it up. Thank you everyone for attending, and I really enjoyed this. You guys got a lot of interaction and questions, so people are very interested. I thought this was super innovative, and that's why I wanted to have them on and share this with all of you. I think it could really help us, not just during these times, but in your homes in general at all points in time. So reach out to them. All of their information will be shared with you guys. I am going to send, if you guys want to send me your slides, I can send them their slides as well, but I'll definitely be sending you guys the recording And you can reach out to Chris or Jeff, and they'll get you guys set up no matter where you're at. And don't miss our next webinar. You two are invited too, Jeff and Chris. Our next one is April 30th. So that's coming this Thursday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time with Jan Doherty again. We're going to be talking about emergency services and senior care. So if that's all we got, I think that we can move on, and you guys can all have a great evening, and I will see you Thursday.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.